everybody. This is the Screams from the Basement live podcast. I'm one of the co-hosts of Screams from the Basement. I'm Casey Kelderman.
And I'm Sam Lenz.
And every other week we host a horror movie podcast. What's the concept of the show? It's a horror movie podcast.
It's the Seinfeld of horror movie podcasts. It's a show about nothing. We just talk verbatim. It's wonderful.
Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what we do on our normal podcast. We're bringing back an old concept that we used to do on a show we called The Killer Countdown. That is a show that we had a couple years ago where we ranked certain franchises in horror or certain scores, kill sequences, anything horror related we ranked.
Yeah, we even had a Attack of the Killer podcast, buddies Tad and Jason on to talk horror scores, which was a really fun episode.
It was. And today we're going to be ranking the entire Friday the 13th franchise. So, Sam, before we get into that, I got to explain the rules and explain how this game works called the Killer Countdown.
Should we use the shorthand? Have you guys ever listened to screen drafts before? There you go, yeah. I mean,
so
you get it.
We stole their concept and just applied it to horror movies. That's basically what the concept is. We're ranking all 12 Friday the 13th movies. We decided beforehand who's getting what picks. I will take the even picks, so 12 through 2. Sam will take the odd picks, 11 through 1.
Yeah, I get the number 1.
That's a scary, scary thought. Before we get into the game, though, we have one other rule that we need to introduce. It is called the stab rule, which is on the screen drafts, they call it the veto. We have a cooler name than theirs. It's called the stab. So if one of us plays a movie that we think should be higher in the list, we can stab it. So each one of us gets a stab during the game. We can use that at any point on the other player, but we only have one to use in the game, so we have to use that wisely.
We're like bees. We stab someone once and then we die.
Sam, do we have anything else we need to throw out there before we get into the Friday the 13th ranking?
No, just like cheer and boo for your favorite and least favorite movies, you know? Like, if we play your least favorite movie at number 12, cheer. And if we play your favorite movie at number 12, boo. We feed off of that.
We feed off it like professional wrestlers, so please boo us like Macho Man, Randy Savage, or Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get started.
All right, let's do this. So I have the number 12 pick. So with that, I'm going to pick the worst Friday the 13th movie by far. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes a Boat to Manhattan.
I knew that one would be a hot take.
Yeah, it's easily the worst movie in this franchise. We did a whole episode, actually, on Jason Takes Manhattan when Scream 6 came out.
You did.
See, we've made so many people mad already that we play Jason Takes Manhattan, they're walking out. No, I understand some people like this movie. I'm not one of those people.
I like this movie. I agree that it's the worst of the franchise, but I also love this franchise. I don't think I rate any of these under 3 stars, guys. Like, this franchise is a banger. Am I wrong? Yeah. What?
We'll get to that one later.
Oh, buddy, you're going to be very upset with me later.
We'll get to that one pretty soon.
Yeah.
Jason Takes Manhattan, though, again, the concept of the movie, Jason Takes Manhattan, he goes to New York City and wreaks havoc on the city. I mean, it happens. I'm not denying that it happens in the movie. It is literally 15 minutes of that movie, and maybe 2 scenes are actually shot in New York.
Yeah. I mean, it's
and those still deliver.
Yeah.
But it's not enough for the movie. The stuff on the boat is fine.
He kills someone with a guitar. That's pretty cool. There's a girl who thinks biology is anatomy. That's pretty cool.
Jason turns into a normal little boy at the end of the movie. That's not cool. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it's the funniest of all the Friday the 13th movies. Mainly because of the third act, yes. Jason turns back into a little kid. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Do we have the ferret in here? Is the ferret watching our podcast? Hi, ferret. Okay.
All right.
I geeked out. Number 11.
Number 11.
My pick.
So, what do you got, Sam?
I'm going to go with the hopefully uncontroversial opinion of Jason Goes to Hell. Now, don't get me wrong, this is great. The opening of this movie, the opening 15 minutes of this movie blows any of the opening 15 minutes of the other ones out of the water. It's great. You've got the final girl that ends up being an FBI agent, and then they literally blow Jason to hell. It's the most entertaining opening of any of these movies. And then after that, it's just kind of fine, I guess. Kane Hodder's really good, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he at least gets to play someone besides Jason in this movie. I always like to see Kane playing someone besides the hulking monster, even if it's a security guard. This one, I rewatched this one recently. I don't hate this movie like I used to. And I think it's partially because it's so different than the rest of the series. It's a very weird movie. Jason's like a slug monster that possesses people. And it's like, where did this come from? Why are we doing this? I also love the tie-ins to, sorry, I'm going to get booed for this, two better franchises, Nightmare on Elm Street and Evil Dead in this movie. It's true. Thank you. Yeah, this movie's fine. It's a lot of fun if you take it for what it is, a weird sort of Friday the 13th movie that's not really a Friday the 13th movie.
A mortician eats a heart in the beginning. It's so great. This was the one that I did not watch until I was an adult, and I'd seen the rest of it. I didn't watch this until I got the super cool Scream Factory box set. And I watched the unrated cut of this, and I'm like, why does everybody think this is the worst one? Manhattan exists.
It has a, what's the bounty hunter called? What's his name again?
I can't remember, but he's essentially, like, when they did the Dark Tower movie with Idris Elba, they were just like, have you seen Jason Goes to Hell? You're just going to be that guy. And that's what they did.
Yeah, he's great. I don't remember the guy's name. He's fun in the movie.
Yeah.
Apparently, Jason has more siblings in this too.
Yeah.
Again, the franchise timeline makes less sense than the Marvel franchise anymore.
It all gets muddled eventually. Yeah. It's fine.
All
right, Casey. That's enough of Jason Goes to Hell. What's the number 10 pick?
All right, the number 10 pick. I'm expecting to get booed for this one too. I think I might just get booed for every pick I play. This one used to be my number one Friday the 13th movie, but in subsequent rewatches, it's dropped down, obviously, quite a bit. My number 10 on the list is going to be Friday the 13th Part 3 3D.
Ooh, yeah, we got some boos there.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with you. That's about where I have it too. That said, we got to see this on the big screen in 3D a few months ago. Actually, the promo picture that Halloweenapalooza used for this, if you see your program and you see the screens from the basement picture, that is us at a screening of this movie with our 3D glasses.
To be fair, we wear those 3D glasses to every movie in hopes that it's going to be in 3D. We're usually wrong.
Yeah, we are. We're usually the only people in the theater with 3D glasses on.
So this is where Part 3 is still like a 3-star movie for me. Like, the rest of these I all like and will rewatch anytime. Part 3 is a lot of fun. It's a really goofy movie. It's a weird, very weird movie where you have this biker gang that shows up randomly halfway through the movie, and they don't do anything menacing. They just hang out in the barn and swing from the rope outside.
They steal the gas so that no one can escape. That's kind of
instead of actually doing biker things and attacking these teenage kids that have no way to defend themselves.
Yeah, it does have a good motorcycle pileup at the beginning where, is it Shelley hits him?
Do we have Shelley fans in the crowd?
Do we have Shelley fans? He's a Shelley fan.
Just Jason?
We got Jason.
I like Shelley.
I like Shelley too.
He's at least a memorable character. I mean, he's the entire reason we get the classic hockey mask.
Yeah, he's whiny and annoying, but he gets killed, so everybody does. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, this gives us all the iconic stuff that you remember from the franchise. You get the hockey mask in it. You get the indent from that here as well. I mean, kind of everything that you think of when you think of Jason Voorhees is introduced in this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
The 3D gimmick is super funny, though. Every time they introduce something 3D, it is hilarious. It's like someone's doing a yo-yo above someone's head, and I'm like, why is that cool? Who thought that was cool? It's why are we doing a yo-yo as part of our 3D gimmick? And
have you guys seen it in 3D? How many people have seen it in 3D? Okay, we've got a couple. The 3D is terrible.
It's awful.
It's really bad. There's one point where a snake comes out of a basket directly at the camera, and you don't see one snake coming out of the screen. You see 3 snakes just appear on the screen.
You can also see the wire every time they do the 3D gimmick. Like when the guy's eyeball comes out, the eyeball stops before it hits the camera. It's like, that's not how gravity works.
Yeah, it's great.
This movie still rules.
It's such a fun time. I'm gonna throw for pick 9. I'm actually gonna switch it up on you, Casey.
Okay.
I'm gonna play the 09 remake, the Platinum Dunes one, directed by Marcus Nispel. Do we have fans of the remake? Okay. Yeah. Like the remake is fine, right? It's good. It's got some decent gore. I actually really I'm blanking on the actor who plays Jason in this. He also did Swamp Thing. Derek Mears, that's correct. I love him as Jason. He's a big hulking brute. I like the underground tunnel thing. I think it's fun. But otherwise, it just kind of feels like all of the other Michael Bay Platinum Dunes ones. It doesn't really do anything too much with it beyond that. It's very CW. I like that part of it.
Yeah, this is my number 9 on my personal ranking, too. I think this movie's fine. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's just there. It exists. And I like you said, the tunnel stuff. It's at least something new and interesting. Mm-hmm. Because this movie is literally just a remake of the first 3 original Friday the 13th movies, and it doesn't really do anything else different with that, besides Jason kidnaps people in this one for no reason.
Because they look like his mom, Casey.
Then just...
Because... I forget the actress's name. Looks like his mom.
Sure.
She looks like a young Pamela Voorhees, and so he kidnaps her and keeps her in a basement. You know, like you do with your mom.
You have a lot of explaining to do with you're growing up, Sam. This one's fine. Like, none of the kills really stand out as anything too memorable in this. Like you said, with the Platinum Dunes thing, like, this is better than most of those, but I think it's not, like... None of those stand out as oh my god, that's a great classic horror movie that's going to go down as one of the all-time greats.
None of them are John Carpenter's The Thing, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so for our first 4, we've got number 12, Jason Takes Manhattan. Number 11, Jason Goes to Hell. Number 10, Part 3. And at 9, we have the remake from the aughts. So Casey, what are we playing at number 8?
I'm going to throw a curveball to you because I know... you like the movie I have ranked next a lot more, and I think I do too, the more I think of it. So I'm going to throw my curveball in here at number 8. I'm going to go to space with Jason X.
Okay, this actually works out. This is what I had originally at number 9, and I'm like, no, this is too low on my list. I love Jason X. Yeah,
Jason X is a ton of fun. It's one of the more fun go-to-space movies. I think Jason kind of works perfectly in that concept. Leprechaun, I don't know why you would send him to space. Like, that just, I don't know how you come up with it.
Because it's funny.
Because, I guess so. I'd rather have Leprechaun in the hood than in space, and I still want to see Jason in the hood, so maybe they do need to remake that next.
I want to see Leprechaun in the hood space. Like, the space hood. Whatever that is.
That's the cantina from New Hope.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see that movie.
Jason X is a ton of fun. I mean, it kind of gives some of the best things that I think Kane Hodder delivers to the franchise. Like, he is, I don't know if he's my favorite Jason, but he's definitely the most well-known.
Kane Hodder's not your favorite Jason?
He is not.
Okay, that's a strange take, but okay.
We'll get to my favorite Jason. But I think he's a ton of fun. I like Uber Jason. It's a cool new look for him. Oh, we didn't talk about the looks of Jason. Jason in Jason Goes to Hell is like the worst looking Jason by far. Like, why is his mask like sinking into his face? Anyway, the metal mask that he wears is like Uber Jason is super cool. I love the callbacks to some of the original Paramount movies in this as well.
Oh yeah. The holodeck thing is
the sleeping
cool.
bag kill.
C.J. Graham does not like the Jason X mask, in case any of you are wondering. He is Jason for Part 6, and he 100% talked trash on that at our film fest last year.
He also called Kane Hodder the P word, but...
Yeah. I think he was joking.
I think so. What do you think of Jason X here at number 8?
I love it. Jason X is just a Battlestar Galactica episode, stretched to feature length with Jason in it, so it's right up my alley. I dig it.
I think it has my favorite kill in the series too.
The cryogenic frozen head and the smashing.
Yeah, smashing.
It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. And the cheesy effects just add to it, like especially in the end when the spaceship's blowing up and it's all like, pixelated and stuff. I love that.
All right, you feel good about Jason X at number 8?
I feel great about Jason X at number 8. I think this might be where we start to derail a little bit, though, because my number 7 pick is Part 7, The New Blood. I like this movie. Part 7 is essentially Carrie meets Jason, right? You've got Tina Shepard, played by the wonderful Jennifer Banco and Laura Park Lincoln, who are here. I have not met them yet. I'm so excited to. And Tina Shepard's just a great final girl, not just because of the telekinesis thing, but just because,
she's a great character.
She's a great character. She's a memorable character. She's one of the more memorable final girls in this franchise, and it also helps that she has telekinesis that she uses to throw lamps and stuff at Jason. She electrocutes him in a mud puddle. It's hilarious. So that's my number 7 pick. I know you really, really like this one, so.
Yeah, I'm going to stab this. This is not going at number 7. This is going to go much higher. I love this movie. I rewatched it recently. I haven't seen it in a while. And I'm like, man, this might be my favorite one. I don't know if it is. It's definitely up there. I love Part 7. I think it delivers everything I love in the Friday the 13th series. Mm-hmm. It has great kills, even though a lot of them are cut. You can still watch the uncut versions, but I think you get what they're going for, even though they do cut away from a lot of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, this is the best looking Jason. This is my favorite Jason of the franchise.
It's his best look. Yeah. It's so good. You've got the bones coming through, and
wears the chain the entire time, like he's John Cena from 2004. We'll talk about it later. So I'm definitely stabbing The New Blood at number 7.
Okay. Oh man, I have a real opportunity to piss you off right now.
Do it.
Okay, so at number 7, I'm going to play Freddy vs. Jason. Look, guys, I love this movie. It was my first
movie.
No, I've done that too many times. I'm not going to second guess myself today. Freddy vs. Jason is a seminal movie for, both of us. Yeah. We were of the age when we were just starting to get into horror when this came out. I remember hearing about this on the playground at school for months before I finally actually got to watch it, and then it scared the living hell out of me, and I did not sleep that entire night. But yeah, Freddy vs. Jason rules. It's a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, not a Friday the 13th movie, which is part of the reason it's so low in my ranking. I really like it, but it's just, it's there. It's not really a Friday the 13th movie until the third act, which is my favorite part. But you're also more of an Elm Street person, so.
Yeah, this is my number 2 in my personal ranking. I'm a Freddy guy, through and through. Freddy's my number 1 horror icon. Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite horror franchise. And yeah, this is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie featuring Jason Voorhees. Which, I think that's perfect, because I love the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I think they introduced so many different things from that franchise back, the Hypnosil, and the kids feel kind of like the kids that I love in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, especially Dream Warriors and Dream Child. I love the teenagers in those movies far more than I do the kids in every Friday the 13th movie, because most of them are non-characters. I think the kids in Freddy vs. Jason are really fun and interesting, and at least have something to do. The final girl in this movie, her whole motivation is that she thinks her dad murdered her mom.
Yeah.
And it was actually Freddy, which is kind of nothing new to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, but still something interesting to introduce into a Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees movie. I think the throwdown between the two is awesome. Mm-hmm. I personally like the
Ronnie, you made a wrestling movie?
Yeah, this is a WWE movie with Freddy and Jason, and they literally had a weigh-in before this movie came out. This Freddy vs. Jason rules. I love this movie. I like the fire and water thing. It's really stupid and cheesy, but both of these franchises are stupid and cheesy, so I think it works perfectly. Yeah, the throwdown the two have in this random junkyard. What is that at Crystal Lake? Why is that there?
Camp Crystal Lake has whatever you need to have a cool set piece. All right. If there's gonna be a junkyard that someone's gonna get killed in, it's just gonna be a Camp Crystal Lake. if you need a random Pamela Voorhees gravestone just somewhere along the lake, it's there. Camp Crystal Lake is whatever you want it to be.
To the Atlantic Ocean. It connects to the Atlantic Ocean.
There's a canal that goes straight from Camp Crystal Lake to New York City, you guys.
Freddy vs. Jason rules. I love this movie. You're kind of a crazy person for playing it this low.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably going to regret it later, but
we're here.
I couldn't help it. I was looking at my notes, and that's just the next logical step. And I'm just sticking to logic today instead of my emotions.
Also, let's settle this today. Since we are giving the definitive ranking of all 12 Friday the 13th movies, who won? Freddy or Jason?
Jason won. Jason won, correct? Jason won in that movie.
Freddy winked at the camera. He's still alive.
He's still alive, but he doesn't have a body. So I don't know how he's going to kill anybody after that. But, okay, so we're halfway through our ranking. At 12, we've got Jason Takes Manhattan. At 11, we've got Jason Goes to Hell. 10, we've got Part 3. 9, we've got the 2009 remake. 8, we have Jason X. And at 7, Freddy vs. Jason, which leads us to our number 6 pick. What's going to start off the top half of this list, Casey?
All right. You're not going to like this one. I'm going to finally play it here. I thought about playing it at 8, but I'm going to finally play it here. It's one that both of us like quite a bit. It is, in my opinion, the Halloween 3 of the Friday the 13th franchise.
No.
It is Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning.
Stab.
No.
I love this movie. I'm going to be unapologetic about it. Roy is my guy.
All right. Since you stabbed Part 5 at number 6,
Also probably going to regret that.
I mean, it's not going to get much higher. Then I'm going to go with probably another controversial pick. I'm going to go with the original Friday the 13th at 6.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, I mean, I like this movie a lot. I think going forward, besides Part 5, all of these are 4 out of 5s for me. I really like the original movie. I know a lot of people, for some reason, do not like the original Friday the 13th. I still think it holds up. I think the whodunit angle of this movie is still very interesting. It's obviously we know all these years later, it's not Jason, it's his mom who's not introduced until the last 15 minutes when she shows up in the movie. So it's a waste of a whodunit, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
But it's also who cares? It's a Friday the 13th movie. They're just trying to rip off Halloween, and they did the best that they could.
Yeah, and it has some great Tom Savini effects.
Yes.
The Kevin Bacon death scene is great. The Mrs. Voorhees beheading is iconic. I mean, I definitely have it a little lower in my rank. I have it higher than this. But yeah. I love this original. I think that whether you like it or not, it Halloween kickstarted the slasher franchise, but this is what popularized it.
Yeah, this is the reason you have all the other. I mean, this movie doesn't exist without Halloween, but I think most of the '80s boom in terms of slashers doesn't exist without
this. Yeah, 100%. It solidified the formula for better and for worse, and I love it for that. So.
Also, Crazy Ralph is probably the best side character, teenager in this franchise.
Oh, 100%. And as far as yes, okay, the Mrs. Voorhees stuff comes out of nowhere, but it's also Betsy Palmer's so good in that movie. Who cares? She's incredible. All right.
All right, you feel good about that one?
I feel okay about that one. And I used my stab, so we're stabless now. Whatever we play now sticks. That's a scary thought. So at number 5, I am going to play. At number 5, I will play Part 7, New Blood.
Okay.
I
can't do anything about it like that.
No, yeah.
Whatever we play sticks.
Yeah, this is whatever we play sticks. And I know that mine is probably going to be played next too, so. We'll be petty about this.
So you said, I think you said a lot of the things you like in New Blood.
Oh, yeah. I really like this movie a lot.
Like I said, this is the best Jason, in my opinion. I think he's the best looking. I think it's the best final girl of the franchise, too. I think Tina is just, maybe not easily the best. I think there's another great final girl in the series. Mm-hmm. But I think toe-to-toe with Jason, where the other final girl that we'll talk about later does like this psychological game with him. This is just straight up, I have superpowers.
It's a
You have
bulldog
superpowers. Let's fight.
Yeah.
And I love the concept of Jason Voorhees versus Carrie, and this is, I mean, it's Friday the 13th in New Blood.
Yeah.
John Carl Buechler directs this movie. I mean, for me, this is like a hidden Empire Pictures movie. Like John Carl Buechler, who did Ghoulies 2. He did what's the Cellar Dweller is a favorite.
Yes.
Of
Oh my
yours.
God. I love Cellar Dweller so much.
Yeah, and this feels like a stealth Empire movie. We have a couple Empire actors in here as well.
Oh yeah, and you have the doctor from Tammy and the T-Rex in this, playing it straight for some reason. I'm like, you should definitely be doing your Tammy and the T-Rex shtick in this movie. It calls
Tammy
for
and
it.
the T-Rex fans out there?
Anybody? Yeah, Tammy and the T-Rex rules, guys. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
We're shifting our podcast. We're going to be talking about Tammy and the T-Rex from now on, starring Paul Walker as a talking Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh, man.
No, I feel good about Friday the 13th Part 7 at 5. It at least
Yeah.
makes the top 5, which I think was at least important for me to have it up there because I do think it is one of the best of the franchise. I think the ending of this movie is super cheesy, too, but I think, it's set up from the beginning of the movie that Tina kills her dad and the bridge collapses on him,
Yep.
and then half makeup, half of his makeup is falling off as he's jumping out of the water to pull Jason in, and that's hilarious.
It doesn't matter how many times I watch this, I always forget about zombie dad coming in to save the day at the end of this, and so every time it happens, I'm just delighted. It's the best.
Also, Jason uses so many different weapons in this movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. This is the
He also
sleeping bag kill.
Punches right through a dude, which is like one of my favorite kills ever.
I love the Weed Whacker might be my favorite Jason weapon.
Oh, yeah, that one's good.
That's so cool. Yeah. He needs to use a Weed Whacker more often. I guess more killers need to use a Weed Whacker. Not enough of them use it.
There should just be a slasher where that's the villain's primary
Called the Weed
source.
Hacker.
Yeah, the Weed Hacker.
Yeah.
There's something there. We'll brainstorm later.
Next year, playing at the Halloweenapalooza Film Festival, Weed Hacker.
Yeah. All right, Casey. What's our number 4 pick? I think I already know.
All right. I don't.
Yeah, you do.
Number 4, yeah. I mean, I should probably play the movie I stabbed. Yeah. I'm going to go with Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning.
I shouldn't have said anything. I might have been able to get that up to number 2. Holy crap.
No, I think this movie, like I said, is the Halloween 3 of the Friday the 13th franchise. It is weird. It doesn't have Jason Voorhees in it. Spoilers for anyone who has not seen A New Beginning. This movie, it doesn't even take place at Crystal Lake. It's at a...
They changed the name to, Forest Green or something, right?
Yeah, it's at this, group home for troubled youth.
For troubled youth.
This is where Tommy Jarvis ends up, all these years later, not played by Corey Feldman, played by bland white guy.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. He's the least important Tommy Jarvis. But I like that this goes back to the whodunit roots of the first one. I love that, like the first one, it has a completely nonsensical answer as to who is doing these murders. It's just, remember that guy from one scene at the very beginning?
Remember Roy, the paramedic?
I mean, I guess he does pop up here and there, but it's also he's a non-character, so when they unmask him and it's it was Roy the whole time, you're like, who?
We need a flashback sequence to remember who Roy is.
Right?
Also, I love that his entire thing is there's 2 killers in this movie. There's some random guy that's at that home for the troubled youth who kills his son that's eating the chocolate bars. He has chocolate bars in every pocket of his being.
The whole thing
just
starts
chomping down on a candy bar.
The whole bloodbath of this movie starts because someone just wanted to share a chocolate bar. And if that isn't cinema to you people, I don't know what is.
The internet, this has the highest kill count to the franchise, which I think is a cool thing.
Yeah.
For a movie that doesn't have Jason Voorhees in it, it has the highest kill count. Personally, we like some of these side characters. We hung out with Deborah Voorhees and Ron Sloan at SuperCon that we helped produce, and we got to talk to Ron about his awesome decapitation as Junior riding his motorcycle. Again, that character probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense why he's in the movie.
No, but they're so much fun
But
together.
it's so much fun.
Him and his mom are just like the funniest part of the movie because they're just yelling in hillbilly accents the whole time.
The funniest part of the movie, though, is my favorite part of this movie, Miguel Nunez.
Oh gosh, yes.
Who ate those damn enchiladas and has to go to the porta potty, and his girlfriend starts like singing to him on the other side of the door.
Yeah, they
Why?
sing a really nice song to each other while he is trying to just drop a deuce.
I like how you say it's a really nice song. There's literally like there's 2 words to that song.
It's Ooh Baby Baby,
Yeah.
and it's just, I don't know, it's sweet.
Nice.
It's a nice moment followed by immediate skewering. You know, that's just the MO of these movies, and that might be one of the best examples of it. I love it. I can't eat enchiladas now without putting this movie on. So if it's Mexican food night at my place, like, this is the movie we're watching. You know, it's great.
So if anyone ever walks by your bathroom and just starts hearing "Ooh Baby" from it, they know you ate enchiladas.
Yes, I ate enchiladas that night.
Yeah, I feel good about this one being higher. This movie is such a blast to
It's
watch.
underrated.
It's ridiculous. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The ending leaves it like Tommy Jarvis is going to be the next killer, and then obviously we've all seen part 6.
Yeah.
He's not the next killer.
He's not. Tom Matthews is right there. He's not a killer. He's a very nice guy from what I've heard. Like, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it does the Halloween 4 ending, and neither one of them like pick up on that.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Except for at least 6 replaces it with something interesting. I'm going to talk to him. We should do a Halloween one of these sometime.
We should.
Because we have very different opinions on this.
We are in the top 3. So top 3 Friday the 13th movies. Sam, what is going to be at number 3, and then we will do a recap.
All right, so I'm going to reiterate this by stating that I love all of these movies, and these top 3 are all like 4.5 to 5-star bangers, so please do not boo me when I put Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, at number 3. Guys, this movie's great. Crispin Glover's dancing in it is immediately like, yes, this is a 4-star movie. You've got Corey Feldman, who, you know, I love. Like, who doesn't love Corey Feldman, especially from this era? You know, some great kills. This is kind of right before the MPAA really started digging down on these movies, so you get a little bit more of the gore with this one, even though there's a lot still on the cutting room floor. I really like all the monster masks and the makeup effects, especially in the third act with Jason's death, like you said.
It's the best demise of Jason
in
the series.
It's a very gooby effect, you know, his face is like sliding down the machete blade. It's so gross. But yeah, the final chapter rules. I really like this movie, and I know it's a lot of people's number 1s, so I'm surprised I didn't get more boos.
Yeah, this one is top 3, 4 of the franchise for me. It's right up there towards the top. I think on any given day, it could be my number 1, it could be my number 2 or 3. It's definitely one of the best of the series. I think it's the best at doing the Friday the 13th formula, where it's kids go to this camp and Jason Voorhees kills them. It's just the best version of that. I think there's better overall movies in the franchise, but I think doing the Friday the 13th concept, this is the best at that. You got the great Tom Savini special effects in this movie. I mean, Corey Feldman is literally playing a 10-year-old Tom Savini in this movie. Like, that's his character.
They even named him after him.
Yeah. The effects are incredible. I think the concept of Tommy Jarvis, like, shaving his head to look like little kid Jason, like, doesn't make any sense, but neither does the rest of this franchise.
Yeah.
Neither does, like, the final act of another movie we'll probably talk about next, in terms of trying to manipulate Jason and distract him. It doesn't make sense, but it works for this franchise because within the concept of the franchise, it works. And I mean, that goes all the way back to the first movie. It's like Pamela Voorhees is just killing these kids that had nothing to do with the death of her own son. She's just killing them so the camp doesn't open again. Like, what's your problem, lady? Like, you already took it out on the counselors that
just start a petition. This is a little intense and over the top, right? Like, talk about a helicopter mom.
All right, should we
Yeah, we'll do a recap.
Do a recap here?
Yeah, so at number 12 we had Jason Takes Manhattan. Number 11, Jason Goes to Hell. In 10 we had Part 3. At 9 we had the remake. 8, Jason X. 7, Freddy vs. Jason. 6, the original Friday the 13th. 5, Friday the 13th, New Blood. 4, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. 3, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. And at number 2, what are we going to have, Casey?
At number 2, we're going to have Part 2.
Part 2.
So Friday the 13th, Part 2. I think this movie is just incredible, and it kind of goes up in my rankings every time I watch it. I think this does the campfire, literal campfire tale of Jason Voorhees the best. This movie opens with the campfire tale of this is Jason Voorhees, this is Pamela Voorhees, this is why she's killing all these kids at the camp, and Jason's still out there. Mm-hmm. And of course he's still out there. This gives us a very different look. This is Sackhead Jason with like the one eye coming through it.
Very inspired by The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Inspired by or ripped off The Town That Dreaded Sundown, one or the other.
More of a rip-off.
But it totally works for this movie, and again, it adds to the psychological aspect of Jason in terms of like hiding his face, and then you get the iconic mask in the next movie. This movie, one of the things I love about it, and I'll let you talk about the final girl, who I think is the second best of the franchise. Jenny is just one of the best. I love the concept that half these kids that are camp counselors, they go out to drink the night Jason shows up. And then they just don't go back to the camp and they don't die. It's like, why didn't anyone else like not learn from these kids? They just hung out at the bar, drank all night, and didn't get killed by Jason. More of these camp counselors need to do that.
Yeah, and that's part of what I love about this movie is it kind of, the kids that stay back are kind of the squares. Like, they don't do a lot of drinking. I mean, sure, they have sex, but it's like, whatever. They're kids. That's what they're going to, do at a camp. So they're like the good kids that stay behind and get slaughtered by Jason. It's like, that's so, I don't know. To me, it's like it's already kind of subverting the formula from the first one a little bit. And maybe it's just because I like this movie and I want it to be smarter than it is. But
also has one of the best kills of the franchise, the wheelchair kill, where the guy just gets whacked in the face and just goes down all the steps. It's hilarious.
And then it just, does like the bright fade to white, and it's just like, what? Why?
I love the wheelchair tipped over on the steps, and they're like, oh, we got to cut it here. We got to get, how are we going to cut to the next scene? Bright flash of white.
Yeah. Friday Part 2 rules. Ginny is my favorite final girl in the series, for sure. I really love Amy Steele. She was in another epic movie called April Fool's Day that I love. Friday the 13th Part 2 is kind of, I know a lot of people think Part 4, like they say that's like the quintessential, like you have to, and I know that Part 2 does not have the hockey mask, but to me, that's what I, like, if someone asks me, like, what's a Friday the 13th movie, where do I start? I'm like, Part 2, because it's the perfect vibe. It's the scariest one to me. I think Jason is terrifying. Yeah. The scene where he sits up in bed and you see him for the first time is like, it's a great jump scare. The score for this movie goes so much harder than it needs to. It's Harry Manfredini's best work in this franchise, I think. Ginny outsmarts Jason at the end by dressing up like his dead mom.
And sort of styling her hair like her.
By tucking it into the turtleneck. And it's a good disguise because it works.
I believed it.
So, if she wouldn't have moved over 2 inches and revealed, like, the actual severed head, would have saved a lot of problems. Friday the 13th Part 2 is a classic. I'm glad it's here at number 2, because that leaves me with the number 1. So let's run down the list one more time before we get to the big reveal. We've got Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason Goes to Hell. At 10, we have Part 3. 9 is the remake. 8 is Jason X. 7, Freddy vs. Jason. 6, Friday the 13th. 5, Friday the 13th, New Blood. 4, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. 3, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. 2 is Friday the 13th, Part 2, which leaves 1 to be my personal favorite. Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Woo! It's a Universal monster movie with Jason, you guys. The set design in this movie is incredible. I say that the opening of Jason Goes to Hell is better, but honestly, ask me on any given day, and I might tell you that Part 6 is my favorite opening.
This one's better. This one's a James Bond opening.
Yeah, he does like the James Bond credit thing. There's total Frankenstein vibes to the first. I mean, they electrocute Jason back to life. He's Boris Karloff in this movie. It's wonderful. It has some of the. It's not the goriest one. It has no nudity, but like the kills are really fun. Despite like this movie could almost be PG-13, but like the kills are so much fun. You've got the girl that gets her face like smashed through the toilet in the camper, the wall of the toilet in the camper, and then the guy from Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, he gets the knife through the ear, and then the whole camper flips over, and there's all the smoke. Yeah, you guys, that guy from Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, that movie we've all seen. The camper sequence is incredible. You've got Jason standing on it as it smokes. There's just so many iconic images in this, including him being chained down to the bottom of the lake at the end of the third act. To me, this is the funnest Friday the 13th movie. I have the most fun with this one, and that's probably why it's my favorite, because I like fun horror. And this is, that's what it is in a nutshell. I really love Jason Lives.
Yeah, this is my number one, too. This is my favorite Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th movie, kind of by far. This is the one I will pop on the most. I think it's, like you said, it's the most fun movie of the franchise. It's a Universal monster movie with Jason Voorhees. It has my favorite Jason actor. I think C.J. Graham kind of inhabits the best Jason Voorhees for me. Tom Matthews as Tommy Jarvis is my favorite Tommy Jarvis. He's my favorite character in the franchise period. I think he's the kind of like the saving grace of a movie that didn't need saving. Like, this movie's already great, but adding Tom Matthews as Tommy Jarvis takes it to that next level. Also, we get an Alice Cooper soundtrack. As a huge Alice Cooper fan, obviously I love that Alice Cooper and Jason Voorhees team up for this movie. Yeah, Jason Lives rules. There's no way to put it besides that.
Yeah. This list was so much more copacetic than I thought it was going to be.
I know, but leading up to this, even I think we did it on our podcast that I kept saying, there's a certain movie that's not going to be Jason Lives at number one. Jason Lives is always going to be the number one.
Yeah. I think when we watch certain other ones in this franchise, we tend to have some recency bias sometimes where we're like, oh, is this the best one? But I feel like you and I, we always go back to Jason Lives.
It's the best. Yeah. Also, one more thing on Jason Lives, it actually has kids at the summer camp for kids. So, of all 12 movies, this is the only one with actual kids.
One of the kids is so creepy. She just walks up and wakes up her counselors in the dead of the night with I found this in the woods and it's a bloody machete, and the counselors are just go back to sleep.
Sounds about right for summer camp counselors.
Yeah, I'm they're like high school, college kids, probably getting paid minimum wage. I don't know if I would investigate either.
All right, well, let's wrap this thing up then. That was our definitive ranking, I guess, of the Friday the 13th franchise from 12 to 1. I hope you all enjoyed it. We are Screams from the Basement. We are a bi-weekly horror podcast talking about, you guessed it, horror movies. We have recent episodes on Frank Henenlotter movies, Brain Damage, and Basket Case. Go check that out. We did an interview recently with Brandon Christensen, who is a director from a bunch of Shudder movies. He just had one drop yesterday.
The Puppet Man.
Yeah, called The Puppet Man. Definitely go. It's like a vibe of Final Destination, but kind of an updated version of that. Yeah, that's kind of what we do on our show. And then we have another episode dropping next Friday, talking about our favorite Halloween vibes in terms of movies. So we're going to pick a couple of our quintessential Halloween movies to watch every year.
Yeah, what do we watch every October? And we're not picking the it's not like we're both going to be 1978's Halloween. We want to, I don't know about you, but I'm going to dig deeper for this one.
Yes, Halloween Town is going to be on that list.
Yeah.
All right, so we are Screams from the Basement. That's Sam Lenz. I'm Casey Feldman. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for listening.
Appreciate it.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.